I'm Wendy, and this is my channel. Today is about another landscape, this time a night sky with a moon and a little bit of a scary tree going on. And I wanted to do the plastic wrap blending technique on here again. So here I'm doing not the usual, I like to do black and whites, but I've done them in the past. So I wanted something different, and I don't want anything with blues in it. So I'm going for a very moody, fiery glow kind of thing. So I started the canvas there with a spray of water and 3 different grays. The grays are from my the runoff spill paint from doing pours that I keep around. And I'm just adding black. And I got a little carried away with the water, so I'm taking off some of the excess here. Just adding a little more black to get it a little bit darker. And this is a burnt sienna or a raw sienna, I think. I want to get that sort of you know, the setting sun is bouncing off the clouds somewhere, and I wanted to get that sort of a reddish, rusty sort of a glow going on in the painting. And the plastic wrap blending is amazing. I am so glad I decided to come up with this idea out of the blue. I don't know why or what was going on in my head that day that I tried this, but I just love all the, and it's very subtle, so it's hard to maybe see as I'm revealing it here, or unless you're really up close to the painting, you see all the subtleties of the little marks and the lines, and it's just really quite amazing. And I just love this. You can't get this with a brush. You just can't. At least I can't get this with a brush. You can, I think you can sort of tell what's going on there with all the different textures that are visible, but it really is quite something. I really enjoy this technique. I will put a link up in the corner here to the first landscape I did with this technique if you want to take a look at that. Yeah, I got a big splotch of the rust color down there in the corner. I'm going to work at getting rid of that and making it a little more blended in. And just taking some of that other color that I took off the bottom of the painting and putting it onto the top. You can do that if you've got a lot of color on that plastic wrap. Just go ahead and fill it in places where you might need a little more. And I just turned the overhead light off to see if it would show up any better. It's really hard working with a giant fluorescent light above you. Trying to show you the creases and cracks. You can see it to some, you can definitely see it here, but it's much more impressive in person, believe me. You'll have to give it a try and see what you think. And just moving on to the moon now. I can't draw a circle to save my life, so I'm going to help myself out by just making this ring of, it's like a buttermilk color. And I'm going to dip this lid in it and get my circle that I can work on. So I'm just going to start with filling in with the buttermilk, and then we're going to take combinations of some of that sienna mixed with the buttermilk and some grays for shadowing, and it's just going to be an awful lot of back and forth with the sponge in a minute. So with a brush and sponge. So I'm going to speed through this a little bit so that you don't have to watch me the full length of time it took me to do this. I'm going to cut it quite a bit because it takes me a while to get to where the perfectionist in me is happy. So it's crazy now watching this back. I wished I'd have left it where this is. I really like it, and I turned around just now and looked at the painting laying on my table here, and it ended up being a whole lot whiter and a little bit monochromatic, and I really like the edginess of those shapes and craters and everything else going on in here. So sometimes less is more, and you can overwork something to death. I may actually, I mean, it has a clear coat on it now, but that won't stop me. I may actually go back in and add a little bit more of that really glowing rusty color in there. I really enjoyed that. I also decided that the background didn't have enough of what I'm going to call moon glow around the moon itself, so I just used my scan and cut to cut out a sticky disc from some shelf paper, and I'm just going to mask it and go ahead and add some more light around the moon. it's dry, we're going to remove the sticky paper and we're going to clean up our moon edges before moving on to the next step. I actually can't tell you how long it actually took to finish the moon itself, from beginning to end. I've cut out so much of me fussing, going back and forth with the sponge and all of that sort of thing, and you know, just trying to get happy with it. And you just keep going. What else can you do? If you're not happy, you just keep going, and that's the beauty of it. You can just dry in between and sort of keep going and not worry about it. Get it how you like it. Doesn't matter how long it takes. Moving on to our tree now. This is a tree I've done before in a painting, and sadly I didn't record that particular painting, so I will put a picture of it here at the end of the video so you can see what I'm talking about. Now, the first time I did this tree, I did do it freehand, but I didn't want to try to duplicate it that way, and I thought I've done it once, so I made myself a stencil with my scan and cut, and I just did a bit of a tracing onto the canvas with it, and I flipped it so that it didn't look exactly like the same direction that I did it in the first painting where I used it. So, but I was really happy with it and I really liked it, so I wanted to use it again here, just in a different way. And so now this is just about getting it all filled in, and then we have to do our highlights, our depth, and so on and so forth. And this is the stencil I was talking about. I just thought I could save myself some time and a lot of tiny little brush strokes and brush work if I just took a sponge and did my black layer, my darker, moodier layer, just hit and miss on top of the whole form. And then I would go in and refine that just to save myself, like I said, a lot of brush strokes and a lot of time. And this looks more like bark anyway. It's just, you know, spotty and hit and miss, and that's what I like, and that's what I was going for. And then I'm just going to clean up my dark edges while the paint is still wet using a paintbrush. And then when that layer is dry, we'll go on to our moonshine highlights. And here we are with the highlights done, or where I thought the highlights should be. It was tedious and long, so and I'm a little shaky, so it took me quite a bit of time to be delicate enough to get it in the places I want. And now we're going to move on. I didn't just want it to be a lone tree, so I'm going to put a couple of other scraggly looking lonely pines or evergreens here that are half dead, half alive on the opposite side. So I've got 3 elements aside from the moon. And this tiny little brush, it's just about, I'm not an expert at this, but it's just about, for me, going back and forth in little squiggly lines as much as possible. And again, it's going to be laying in the darker colors, a mixture of, I made a black with a brown mixed in, and then I made a more rusty color as a mid-tone, and then we're going to lay in highlights after that. So it's a lot of back and forth with the 2 different colors, and then highlighting it near the end, so it doesn't show up. Hopefully it shows up enough for you to tell exactly what I'm doing here, but it's just, like I said, it's a bunch of squiggles, and you leave some open spaces and room for 3 different shades, and it turns out pretty good in the end. And here it is. It is a dark and moody looking painting, and I really love that about it. Hopefully you can see some of these really fine details from the plastic wrap, and I love it. I think it's awesome. Would love to know what you think about it. And here's the first incarnation of that tree in the black and white version. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.